Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay, so we are going to continue from the last class. In the last class, we saw that how do we simplify a system, okay, to a representation that could be useful for solving the response, or like, for obtaining the response of a single degree of freedom system, right? And then what we saw actually is that representation, something like a frame representation or a mass spring damper representation could be used, okay, and that representation was quite useful in what we were doing. So let me just go ahead and so what was the equation of motion that we obtained? I mean, in general term, it was, if I write it is in terms of different component of forces, it was inertial force plus damping force plus stiffness force is equal to whatever the applied force was, correct? Now, if I wanted to write it for a linear system, that means that my structure is linear as well as the damping that I'm considering is linear viscous, then I could write this as simply mu double dot plus cu dot plus ku is equal to the applied load. And like, it is up to you, whatever formulation you consider, whatever you are comfortable with it, both represent the same thing, okay? So the displacement is measured either from this point or this point. Remember, because this beam is actually rigid, it would have the same deflection. Okay, and this looks like in the deflected position like this. Okay, and the load P is actually being applied here. So this was the frame representation. And we also considered the spring representation, in which we considered this representation. So for this case, basically this spring K is nothing but, we discussed that this spring K can be obtained by considering the stiffness. So we saw that depending upon what is the flexibility of this beam or the relative flexibility of beam with respect to column, K could be either 2 times 3ia by L cube if the beam is flexible, or it could be 2 times 12ei by L cube if this column, the beam is very rigid. So it would be just the sum of the columns without any rotation at the top. Okay, and force P is being applied. Okay, and the displacement is measured from the equilibrium position. Okay, and we also discussed that if you measure the displacement from the equilibrium position, all right, then you do not have to consider the gravity in your equilibrium position, as long as gravity is not the restoring or destabilizing force. Or other way to say would be, if initial or if at equilibrium gravity was being balanced by some spring force, okay, then you do not need to consider gravity if you are considering the spring force, or if you are considering the motion from the equilibrium position, because the initial gravity load would be cancelled by the initial spring force. Okay, so that's an offset, you can neglect that. Okay, and then you do not need to consider that in further equation. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because I often see students like, including the gravity term where it is not required. So you just need to be very clear on that one. Okay, so we are going to do some equations, set up some equation, and then see basically how that plays out. We saw that an example was a pendulum example here, in which gravity was a restoring force, and then I had an inverted pendulum with a rotational spring. Here the gravity was destabilizing force, and then we tried to solve both systems. Okay, all right. So okay, so next thing that we are going to do, in reality or in general, you would not have a single spring like this. Okay, you might have a combination of a spring. For example, I will give you some example. You might have, let us say, a beam in which you have area A and the elastic modulus E and the length L. Now, if I consider the axial or the actual deformation of the beam, can I say, okay, can I say that it can be represented with a spring with an actual stiffness AE by L? Can I do that? Okay, so I'm just writing my force is equal to AE by L times delta. Okay, this comes from the very basic relationship that you might have studied in your undergrad. Okay, so this is one way to do it. Okay, how about I have two beam, one of higher area and E, okay, and then length with a different length, and then another beam connected to it, but with, let us say this is A1 E1 by L1, and this is A2 E2 by L2, correct? Can I say this I can approximate with two springs that are connected like this, okay, with this one as K1 and K2, where I can write K1 as A1 E1 by L1, okay, and K2 as A2 E2 by L2. And you will see that at in many cases you would encounter something like this. So this was a beam connected to a beam, right? You could have a beam connected to a spring, okay, or you could have multiple spring connected in a certain fashion, and then you need to find out the resultant stiffness of the arrangement, right? Now, till we are dealing with only single degree of freedom system, we would be representing only one mass. So the K equivalent need to be represented for different spring, and there would only be one mass. Okay. However, when we'll go into multi-degree of freedom system, we will see that we will have multiple masses as well. And there the formulation would be a little bit different. Okay. So I'll take one of the example from your textbook, in which basically I have something like this, a cantilever beam, okay, and then I have a spring, okay, and then I have a mass that is suspended from this M, and this spring, let us say K here, okay, and then you can assume this stiffness, let us say this is EI by L, or the properties are EI and L. Okay, so now this arrangement is there, correct? And I have to find out the equation of motion. So one way to do or the deal with this kind of problem would be to go to very basics and write down basically the equation of motion considering the individual free body diagram, right? Now I can consider gravity, right? But then I have to consider what is the initial stretch in the system or the stiffness force in the system. Now you can imagine that as soon as I suspend this mass from this spring, then there would be some deformation in the spring. And at the same time, because this beam is deformable, this beam would also deform a little bit. Okay, so it would something be like this. So beam would be something like this with some initial deformation. And then from the initial position, let us consider this as initial without any stretch, or I will call it unstretched position. Okay, in equilibrium, it would be again at certain this one. Okay, delta ST. Now this delta ST would have certain contribution of this spring. At the same time, it will have contribution of the deflection of the beam as well, correct? Now I have to find out, if I have to find out equation of motion, okay, basically what I need to write, okay, let me say I deform it, I consider the deformation from this equilibrium position. I will call this as equilibrium position. Okay. And at this equilibrium position, my mass is here. It is stretched by U. Now again, you would have component of, let us say, U of spring plus U of beam. Okay, it would have both component. Okay. So what I need to do here, consider the free body diagram. So how would it look like? If I have this mass here, okay, there would be force, which is the spring force applied on the mass, Fs. Okay, because it is moving down, again I will have an inertial force. Okay, I will call it opposite to the direction of motion, mu double dot, as per the D'Alembert's principle. And then I have, of course, there is a force PT acting here. So let me just apply the force PT. Okay, I will apply the force PT. Okay. I don't think there is any other force. Now for the spring here, which is in between, again, by the principle of equilibrium, I will have the same force, which is whatever force it is applying at the block. So Fs at the both end of the spring, and then at the end of this beam, I have the same force Fs acting on this beam. Okay, so one equation that I could write, if I consider the deformation, and I'm considering now, let us say deformation from the equilibrium position. So let us say it is deformed UB plus, no, not UB, US from the equilibrium position, and this one has deformed from the equilibrium position by UB. Okay, so this is the relationship I'm considering. Okay, in terms of forces, if you consider, basically my Fs would be whatever the stiffness of the beam, which of course in this case would be 3I by L cube. So I'm not writing that one. Okay, I'm just writing Kb here, would be Ub. Fs would also be equal to Ks times Us. Okay, and then if I consider the equilibrium of the mass m, Fs would equal to, or let me just write down, for the mass m, it would be mu double dot plus Fs, and that should be equal to Pt. Okay. Now, for the whole system,
Won't there be any gravitational force on the mass?
there would be, as I said, I'm considering it
Okay,
from
that
the
would be
equilibrium
right, right,
position.
right.
Okay. And I mean, you could write down the same equation in equilibrium, right? If you had only considered up to equilibrium, instead of U, just replace it with delta St, and delta St would have component of certain contribution of the spring, which would, let us say, delta S, and then delta B contribution of this. And at that point of time, there is no mu dot. Okay, so your delta St would simply be, if you consider, so the next thing that I wanted to say, okay, that you could write down the similar kind of equation at the equilibrium position as well. Only thing, there is no mu double dot at that point, because Pt and the acceleration are being applied at from the equilibrium position, correct? So you
Yes,
can
sir.
write down the similar kind of equation. Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is consider this whole system as one system. Okay. So that the total deformation of the system is U, right? However, U has stiffness of the beam and the stiffness of the spring. So I can also write Fs as some equivalent stiffness. I don't know that yet. What is that equivalent stiffness? I need to find that out. Okay. Times U. So U is the total displacement of the system. And I'm saying that the total displacement of the system is governed by the equivalent stiffness of the system, which I don't know it yet. Okay. So if I consider this whole system, what you see here, okay, and write down the equation of the PT, I can write something like this, but I need to find out what is K equivalent is. And how do I do that? Well, I know that my U is equal to US plus UB, plus I also know that my K is represented by this. So I can write U as Fs divided by Ke, and this should be equal to US. So I'm going to use these two equations. Okay, so it would be Fs divided by Ks, again Fs divided by Kb. Okay, so that gives me the equivalent stiffness equation as, which you might be familiar, but I'm just repeating here for a structure. You might have seen this for resistance, for like, different type of series connection, series and parallel connection, but I'm just repeating here for a structure. How do we do that? Okay, and I'm going to come to the series and parallel connection. So what do you see here? That I've got the equivalent stiffness here. Okay, so I can write it as mu plus Ke, which is represented by this equation as Kb times Ks, Kb plus Ks. Okay, so Kb times U is equal to Pt, not Kb here, K equivalent. I want my equation in terms of U, total displacement. That's why I've written Fs is equal to Ku. But remember that Fs is also equal to Ub and Us. So you could have written here Fs simply equal to Ub and Us, but that won't give you the equation, the differential equation in terms of total displacement. To get the total displacement, I wanted a effective stiffness, and that's why I went by this method to get the equivalent stiffness. Okay, so what happened here? I had basically a beam and a spring. The lateral stiffness of this beam is governed by 3EI by L cube, and then of course I have stiffness of the spring, and these were connected in a certain fashion, and I got K equivalent of that one to write down the equation of motion. Okay, and this is pretty standard problem. This is a simplification of different type of structures that are actually there. Okay, so I mean it could represent anything hanging from a beam, or different beam, a very heavy beam with very flexible suspended ceiling or things like that. So this is just a simplified representation of those systems. Okay, so now this brings me to the next topic, which is if there are multiple connections of different components, how do we simplify that so that again I can write the equation of motion that I had initially derived for a single degree of freedom system. Okay, so what do we do that? If there are different kind of springs, or if there are different kind of arrangement, then that can be represented as springs. Okay, then how do I write that? Let me say I have two springs connected in this fashion. Okay, and of course there are forces that are being applied here, and this is K1 and K2. Okay, now I need to, if there is no mass in between, my K equivalent, okay, I need to find out what is the K equivalent of this arrangement. So how do I do that? Well, let me say a force Fs is being applied. So if force Fs is being applied, what is the force in spring at K2 and K1? Can you tell me, if force Fs is being applied at the two ends of this arrangement K1 and K2, what is the force that is being applied on the spring K1 and K2?
Fs.
Same force, right? Same force is being transmitted to K1 and K2, correct? So can I write, if the deformation in the K1 is U1 and the deformation in K2 is U2 due to this force Fs, and if I'm representing it through another spring which is something like this, so that it has K equivalent and the total displacement as U, and of course the force is same. Okay, can I write that my total displacement would be sum of individual displacement in these springs? However, the force in all these springs would be same. So F1 is equal to F2 is equal to Fs. Okay, so the force would be same in all these springs. However, the displacement would be the sum of the total displacement. Okay, this is called series connection. Okay, so what is the criteria for series connection? The forces are same, but displacements are distributed, and the total displacement is the sum of the individual displacement. Okay, so in this case, again I can write my U. Remember, I'm representing the equivalent stiffness as Fs is equal to K equivalent times U. So I can write it Fs divided by K equivalent is equal to F1, which is again Fs times K1 divided by K1 and then K2. Okay, so this gives me my K equivalent. Okay, so this is one arrangement of the spring. All right. The second arrangement of the spring that you could possibly encounter, all right, would be two springs connected in this fashion. Now, in this, okay, can you tell me what are the individual forces in these two, or compared to what we discussed above, can I say that forces in the individual spring, if I consider the free body diagram, my Fs would be F1 plus F2, right? So if I consider the free body diagram of any part, if I cut it here, let us say, okay, I can write Fs is equal to F1 plus F2. However, the displacement in individual springs would be the sum of the displacement. So no, not the sum, but the same displacement.
Same.
So, okay, so U1 is equal to U2. So if I consider an equivalent system in which I am representing the same system with a force F, okay, and equivalent is stiffness as Ke, okay, I can write that using these two, okay. Fs is equal to Ke times U, which is the same displacement as K1 times U plus K2 times U. So in this case, I get K equivalent as K1 plus K2. So for this is called parallel connection of the spring. Okay. And for the parallel connection, displacements are same. However, what happens? Forces are distributed. Okay, so forces are distributed. Is this clear up to this point? Anybody has any doubt up to this point? It instead of like, considering this mathematical formulation, remember what is important is to know this. How do we know whether it's a series connection? The forces are same and the displacement are distributed, and for the parallel, displacement are same and the forces are distributed. Okay. This is more conceptual and would help you if there are a lot of springs or the springs and beams, columns are connected in certain fashion, so that you need to determine the equivalent stiffness. Okay, so just keep that in mind so that whenever you encounter, you can find out the equivalent spring constant. Okay, spring stiffness. Okay, if this is clear, I'm going to draw arrangement and you have to tell me what is the equivalent stiffness. Okay, so let me show you. I have, okay, so I have a basically a beam here and a beam here. Okay, both of them are connected at this point. Okay, and let us say these are connected through a pin connection. Okay, now the properties of these beams, these beams are, this is A1, E1, I1, L1. This is A2, E2, I2, L2. And the force PT is being applied here. I want a simple spring representation with a stiffness constant of this arrangement. Okay, so take a minute and then tell me, for a force PT is applied here, a displacement is being applied here. Okay, so let us say my degree of freedom is this one in this direction. Okay, I want you to, so take 1 minute and draw the equivalent spring representation, simplification of this system. Okay, then I will come back to you after a minute and then we'll discuss this. Okay, if anybody has been able to finish this, then you can unmute yourself and let me know the answer. Let me know the arrangement or let me just know the equivalent stiffness.
Sir, K equivalent is equal to A1 E1 by L1 plus 3 E2 E2 by L cube, E2 I2 by L cube, L2 cube.
Okay. How many of you agree with this? And what is your name?
Sir, my name is Puneet.
All right. So Puneet has given this answer. All of you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who is not agreeing?
Sir, me, Avish.
Avish Naredi is not agreeing, right? So Avish
Yes,
is
sir.
going to tell me the alternative answer. Tell me, Avish, what is the answer?
So it should be 1 by K equivalent equals to 1 by K1 plus 1 by K2, where
Okay.
where K1 is 12 EI by L cube and K2 is A1 E1 by L1.
K1 is A1 E1 by L1 and K2 is 12 EI by L cube.
Yes, sir.
E2 I2 by L2 cube. I hope you meant that. Okay, so this is one alternative answer, right? Okay. Let us decide how do we do this. What did we say about first? I mean, it is important to know, like, whether this connection is in series or parallel, right? So what was the criteria to decide whether these are in series and parallel? If displacements are distributed and forces are the same, then they would be in series connection, correct? And if the displacement are same but the forces are distributed, then those would be in parallel connection. I hope that is clear, right? Now, considering that, let us say what is happening here. Okay, so can I say, let me just consider this. What is the force if I consider the free body diagram of this? Okay, there would be a certain force, let us say F1, and at the same point there would be, again, because it is connected by pin, I would have certain force F2. Okay, and then the total force is P of T. Can I also say that considering equilibrium of this joint, okay, so if you consider this joint, it would going to apply equal and opposite force, okay, and this is PT. Okay, is that clear? Not in this direction, sorry. It would be for the lateral deflection of the beam, again it would be in this direction. Okay, so I can say F1 plus F2 is equal to PT. Okay, however, what is same here? If I consider these beams are connected by the pin here. So when I apply the displacement, is it ensuring that the lateral deflection of this beam is same as the axial deflection of this? Okay, so U1 is equal to U2 is equal to U, the total for the system. Now, what we are getting here? Displacement are same. Okay, but forces are distributed. And what this corresponds to? If I look it back, displacement are same and forces are distributed. Seems like it is a parallel connection. So nice try, Avish, but then next time you have to consider how the forces are being distributed and the displacement are being distributed. Okay, so that will help you in determining what is going to be the connection type. In any case, even if you don't go by this rule, you don't have to. You can just consider the free body diagram and then find that out. Okay, for example, in this case, you can directly say that F1 plus F2 is equal to PT, and where F1 and F2 would be what? F1 would be A1 E1 by L1 times U1 plus A2 E2 times L2, and this times U2, this should be equal to PT. And if I'm representing it through a equivalent spring, it should be K equivalent times U. As I said, because all these points are connected through this pin here, the U would be same as axial deformation U1 or lateral deformation U2. Okay, so this is going to cancel off, or my K equivalent would be, sorry, this is wrong. This is 3 EI by L cube. That is the second thing. Remember, if it is a pin connection and freely able to rotate at its ends, it is 3 EI by L cube, not 12. 12 is that when it is constrained to rotate. So it is not rotating, it is deflecting, but it is not rotating. So remember, free to rotate like this, it is 3 EI by L cube. However, constrained to rotate at this end, then it is 12 EI by L cube. Okay.